It is with an insane amount of joy that I come to you today saying that this podcast is proudly brought to you by the Sightshed's Surf and Learn program. That's right. This year, we are running our second Surf and Learn program over in the Maldives off the back of the hugely successful Surf and Learn 2018 program that we ran. It was so much fun. I cannot even begin to explain how cool these events are. We basically take a group of enthusiasts, if you will, across to the Maldives. We live on a luxury motor yacht for 10 days, and we basically live the high life. We surf, we eat like kings, we drink if that's your thing, you can fish, you can do whatever you want, you can go scuba diving, all that crazy stuff. And in the evenings, we do a business workshop. So it is a tax-deductible trip, and it is just the most amazing experience ever. Last year was mind-bogglingly good. Anyway, obviously, we're taking a boat, and boats have limited seats. So if you want to come to this event, you need to head across to the sightshed.com/events. Click on the Surf and Learn 2019 link and go to the landing page there where you can secure your spot, or you can find out more information about the event. These tickets will go quickly. There's a huge percentage of the guys that came last year want to come again, and for reasons which you will see on the landing page. It is absolutely fantastic. The direct landing page is the sightshed.com/surf2019 if you want to go straight there. It is just amazing, guys. I really hope to see you there. The content's brilliant. The networking's fantastic. The location and the experience is like nothing you will ever experience. I can tell you, it is just brilliant. Anyway, that's all from me. I hope to see you there, and enjoy the podcast. I know many of you have reached out recently to ask me to get more people on the show that are actually in the trenches, like guys that have been there, they've been through the struggles, and they've got the runs on the board. They've worked their way through the hard, I suppose, parts of business, and they've come out the other side. Today's podcast is an amazing episode with a guy out of the United States. And if I said to you, is it impressive that somebody's grown from 5 staff to 250 staff between now and 2006, I imagine you'd be quite impressed. But then if I told you also that he's consistently doubled the business, 100% increased the business over the last 5 years, and next year he's just got plans to create a 200% increase in his organization. I mean, that would literally knock you off your chair. And that's the caliber of the guest that you've been hearing today on the show. He was referred to us by the one and only Mr. Al Levy, the 7-Power contractor. Thank you very much, Al, for the introduction if you're listening. And in this podcast, we cover off some amazing things. And I have a bit of a framework that I normally follow with these episodes. Today, I went pretty far off script because we just got caught up in talking about so many amazing initiatives and things that this gentleman does within his business. And it's completely applicable to you guys out there in the trades. So he is the Home Service Millionaire. That's his book, which is coming out shortly. And you guys are going to absolutely love this. Tommy Mello is the guest. He's the home service expert, and he's also the director of A1 Garage Doors out of the United States. They're in 9 states. So they are certainly growing really quickly over there, and they've got some amazing initiatives and a story behind how they got to where they are today. It wasn't all smooth sailing, but this guy's a very smart man, and he's got some amazing information and insights that he's left behind there. He talks about a number of things. He's talking about service agreements. He's talking about finance. I've got so many notes written down here. It's just insane. He's dropped a whole bunch of names that you can go and research. There's book references that he's left behind there. It really is information packed. So, guys, I know you're going to enjoy this. Tommy's generously also said that if you have any questions, by all means, you can ask them within the show notes or wherever you see this coming across social media, and he will get them answered for you. Otherwise, really looking forward to hearing your feedback, guys. And if you've got any questions about how any of this sort of stuff might relate to your business, then by all means, hit me up and we'll get him back on the show to answer those questions for you. And a quick plug as well, Tommy has a podcast called The Home Service Expert. You can get to that on iTunes or wherever you consume your podcast, so go check that out as well. Okay, that's a wrap. Let's jump in. Today's podcast has been proudly brought to you by Tradie Web Guys. Tradie Web Guys work with tradespeople only on their websites and marketing solutions to help them stand out from their competition. Everything from web design through to SEO, search engine marketing, content creation, you name it, guys. It is a customized solution for trade-based organizations, and it's fantastic. Head across to tradiewebguys.com.au/apply, fill in the form, and let's have a conversation. It'll be the best thing you could possibly do to kickstart 2019 the right way.
Giving tradies and contractors around the globe the tools to run a modern business. You're listening to Toolbox Talks from the Site Shed. Now here's your host, Matt Jones.
Tommy Mello, welcome to the Site Shed podcast.
Hey, thank you very much. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. And you're coming all the way from where?
Phoenix, Arizona. I'm actually located in Tempe and I live in Scottsdale.
Are you from Phoenix?
I'm from Michigan originally.
Okay, nice. Now, the infamous Al Levy introduced us, and yesterday I was on your podcast, which we'll talk about in a second. And we've got you on our show today, and apparently you don't live too far from Al, is that right?
I live close to Al, and Al actually is one of my consultants. He comes in here regularly. I'm one of only a few of his clients now, and on a big level. I mean, he really is doing a lot for us. We've got a common goal to be the largest garage door company in North America here within the next 3 years. So,
wow. Okay,
we're
cool.
working hard at it.
And so your company is A1 Garage Door Service, and you operate all over the country now, don't you? You're in many states and many territories.
12 states, 19 markets, looking to expand that rather quickly, about 250 employees.
Wow, amazing. So is it almost a franchise model, or is it just...
No, I'm the sole owner. They're all real employees. There's no 1099 contractors.
Okay.
And things are moving in the right direction. We do not want a franchise whatsoever.
Okay, cool. I actually just read a very interesting book on franchising, on how to franchise businesses. Not that I'm really interested in it. Well, I am interested in it. I'm interested in the system side of it, which I'm sure we'll dive into when we start talking about how you've grown your business.
Yeah, absolutely. I love talking about that stuff.
So your podcast is Home Service Expert. You can get that through, I'm guessing, iTunes or Android, wherever you consume your podcast, yeah? Yep,
absolutely. You get it through all those above. Just Home Service Expert, just go to it. Works really well on iTunes. That's where most people go.
And your soon-to-release book is called Home Service Millionaire. When's that going to be out?
It's coming out soon, December 3rd, and I've actually made the Audible version, and I'm excited to tell you all about the book because I've got my heart and soul and 2 years of my life wrapped up into it. So
fantastic. Well, we've by the time this podcast goes live, your book will well and truly be out. So we'll put some links to where the guys can get hold of that through the show notes for sure. Now, I suppose I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your journey. We've got a lot of listeners on the show, obviously, from all over the world who are sort of going through the typical trials and tribulations of running a business and growing a business. And they were always interested to hear about guys that have sort of made it out the other end and some of the obstacles they overcame. And I just guess some of the, just a bit about the journey, you know what I mean? We get a lot of people, I suppose, on the show that have achieved a lot of success, but like what guys are typically interested in is, you know, more relatable to where they're at, sort of stuck in the trenches and trying to get to where they're at. So I'm really keen to kick this conversation off and learn a bit about your journey and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, let me just let me break it down for you. You ready for the story?
Well, how about we do this? Why don't we talk about, let's take it back a notch to sort of when you're a young kid, and like where did you foresee yourself ending up? Like, what did you want to be when you were younger?
So I wanted to be an orthodontist, and that's a random thing, but I figure what could I do for the least amount of time and make the most amount of money, because no matter what you do, it becomes a job. I don't care if you're a professional golfer, an athlete, if you're a painter, and that's your pastime and you start to do it professionally, it becomes a job. Even though you might have loved it at one point, it's still work if you have to do it every day to be successful and make a paycheck. So,
you know what? It's funny you say that. When I was a little bit younger, I traveled and I was living in Canada. Did a couple of ski seasons around the world, and one of them was in Canada. And that season, I didn't work. And I remember when I was there, like halfway through the season, it almost felt like a job. Like I didn't even want to get out of bed and go skiing because I just.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous. I wish you could go back there now, but anyway. So yeah, sorry, carry on.
Yeah. So anyway, I went to school to be pre-dental, but back in the day, my dad had a transmission shop. I was always raised around business, but my mom and dad got a divorce when I was about 7, and I really didn't want to be a burden on my mom or dad. My mom had 3 jobs, really tried to make ends meet, and she used to shovel snow and mow lawns. And I started a small little landscaping business with my best friend Elliot. And when I was 12, it was a year before you could legally work, I got a job washing dishes at a sports bar, and they paid me under the table. So every day after school, I'd go wash dishes for 4 hours. And I was getting paid $4.05 an hour. So that was a lot of money to me as a kid.
Yeah.
And, I always had money whenever I needed something. I never had to ask for anything. If I wanted a pair of jeans or a golf club or whatever, I learned real young that if I wanted it, I had to go get it. And that was a life lesson for me. And then, that's my youth. I had an amazing parents. I mean, my sister's amazing, and my parents are great. My dad was my soccer coach, my baseball coach. My mom was at every event for sports. It wasn't like I grew up and, wearing the same pair of jeans for a year, but I didn't have a lot. I mean, I think I was maybe just middle class, and I didn't want to be a nuisance to them and have to ask them to spend a lot of money on me. So I learned to make my own money young, and I've always been ambitious. I never had my school paid for. I never had anybody really hand me anything. Never a silver spoon ever. The success, I will say, has been through hard work and discipline.
Awesome. So you say your father was in the automotive industry?
Yeah, he's owned a couple transmission shops, and he's managed different ones. Pretty good salesman, knows a lot about business, learned a lot of mistakes through him of what not to do, and he made a lot of good decisions too. But I used to hang around the transmission shop and hear him talk to customers, and I was kind of learned how to be customer relationship driven when I was at a young age.
So, Tommy, is your background or certification a mechanic?
No, I don't really know a whole lot. I can fix a little bit on a car. I can change my tire, obviously, and do certain things. But right. I've got a master's degree in business. I was pre-dental. I didn't give up on that dream. I went took anatomy, physiology, organic chemistry, biochemistry, you name it. And I went and interned with a dentist. And he said, Tommy, if I could tell you what I would do if I were your age, before you jump into dental school, you need to learn how to run a business. Yep. And he said, before you go to dental school, I highly recommend you go to business school. So there I was with 60 credits worth of dental or, pre-dental classes. And I had all my other classes knocked out of my associate's degree. So I started back for business school because I like business, and I learned quite a bit. And then in 2010, I went and got my master's degree in business, which I will tell you, I got a lot of connections from school, but you don't need a master's degree to be successful. So that's not the moral of the story. The moral of the story is you don't need a degree, and I'll explain why later. But I met a lot of great people, and it's really about networking. Networking is what I learned the most from the master's program.
Yeah, fantastic. So with that in mind, tell me a little bit, I suppose, about that transition from being a dental student to, okay, I'm going to open a garage store. So
I had a landscaping business, and I was bartending, and actually I was flipping Bowflexes. I don't know if you guys know what the Bowflex machines are, but
nope, no idea.
It's a workout piece of equipment, and I used to buy them in the newspaper and sell them on Craigslist. So I flipped about 300 of those. I was bartending, and then I was doing water conservation analysis for big buildings and earning their landscaping business. And my roommate got a job answering phones at a garage door company, and he was making great money. And then he got my other roommate a job as a technician, and Gabe, the technician, said, Tommy, you need to come check out this business. You know more about business than any of us, and I want to hear your thoughts on starting a garage door business. So at the time, the economy was great. It was 2006, and money was just pouring in from every angle into Phoenix, Arizona. And we started a business, and me and Gabe, and really learned when the economy took a tanked, I really learned the hard way on how to build a business. In 2010, I basically took on the debt, and me and Gabe are still best friends. He lives in Montana, but I became the sole owner of A1 Garage Door Service. And it's been fun. I've made every mistake in the book, and I think I have quite a few pieces of advice to offer.
So okay, that's an interesting segue on its own. So let's talk a little bit about, I suppose, that initial conversation. So he obviously rang you and said, "Hey, Tommy, come check out this business." But I mean, someone with an MBA would have certainly done their due diligence. What did you like about the industry, and what decided, what helped you make that decision to go into business with, firstly, Gabe, and then secondly, I suppose, the automotive business?
Well, Gabe was really good at sales, and I was good at marketing.
Right.
Number one. Number two, and when we started, I didn't have my master's degree. I had a bachelor's degree, so I was still bartending. I was doing a lot of stuff. I mean, I put a lot of money in my retirement all the time, so I always was putting money away. I don't live an expensive lifestyle. And the main thing that I remember back then was the margins were huge. He was a good salesman, and it just made a lot of sense to me. It all kind of came together really, really quickly, but I just knew the right marketing to do to go get jobs. And I knew how to book phone calls, but nowhere near where we're at today. I mean, literally, I was going to say I could write a book now, but I already did. So
that's brilliant. So what did that look like then, I suppose, when, you and Gabe decided to part ways? He left the state, obviously. What did that whole conversation look like back then?
Well, let me just give you a little preface here. Is we were already good buddies, and before I started doing garage doors themselves, Sean, the guy that was answering phones for another company, said, "Tommy, do you know how to paint garage doors?" I said, "No, I don't." He said, "Can you learn? I know you're a smart guy. You're always money hungry." I said, "Shit, well, teach me. How much are you going to pay me?" He goes, $100 a door. So I went out and I paid a guy. I learned how to do it, and I got to the point. You're going to love this, Matt. I could paint 10 doors in a day. So I was making $1,000 a day.
Wow.
Back then. And this is, I bought a G20 Infinity. I bought a paint gun from Home Depot. And I was at it. I mean, I got to the point where I was like a master. I mean, I could do this blindfolded. I just had it down to a science. Yeah. And I said, if I can make this much money, I want to see what this business is. So Sean got me with Gabe. Gabe was a buddy. I learned all about the garage door business. And me and Gabe, we got into Valpak. We got into some mailers. Back then, we got into the Mello Book. I didn't know a ton as much as I know now about marketing, but I will tell you that the conversation I had, you got to remember, Gabe's my best friend, my roommate, and my business partner. It's worse than a marriage, okay? Because when we hung out outside of work, at work, everything. So, I mean, it was tough for me because I had to initiate it. And it was the toughest conversation I've ever had.
Yeah, okay.
And it probably will be for the rest of my life, hopefully. And it was tough, man. I sat him down and I said, "Look, we're not really moving." And I don't want to say anything negative, but I will say that he did smoke a lot of pot, which made it hard for. And I don't know if you know what pot is. It smoked a lot of weed.
Yeah.
And whenever he'd answer the phone, it was like not non-urgency, and I just hated it because when he'd go on vacation, we'd double our revenue.
Oh wow!
So I crossed a lot of T's and dotted a lot of I's when he would go out of town. And made a lot of sense. And we wouldn't work on a certain type of door because it's got what's called a Torque Master system from Wayne Dalton. So, well, what did I do? I said, we're going to work on this. So I went and got certified through Wayne Dalton and learned how to do it. Like there's nothing that I can't work on. I mean, I can fix any garage door now. I'll freaking take it apart. If I have to make a custom band, I will. But that's the wrong way to think. And I'll explain why later. But, those guys that used to be like me say they could fix anything and they're going to fix it no matter what, they'll never be successful. And I don't want to say never, but very unlikely to be successful in business.
Right. Is that because they're trying to take on too much? They're not focusing on their niche, their speciality?
Well, the problem is if, for example, I could fix anything. Number one is, why do you want to fix a 20-year-old opener? You got a search. You got, let me just talk about real quick. You got two different sprockets. You got two different gears inside of there. You got an RPM sensor. You got a surge protector. You got a circuit board. You got the remotes. You got the keypad. You got the safety eyes. You got all these different parts that could wear out. But you're so happy that you could fix something. But you're in business to make a profit. You are not in business to fix stuff and brag on Facebook how you fix a 20-year-old piece of crap opener. You're supposed to give people options, and you're not doing anybody a favor by fixing some old piece of crap and you think just because you think it's a good price. I don't care what you think. It matters what the customer thinks. And if you think like a technician instead of an owner, you're never going to be successful.
Yeah. Okay. So once Gabe left the business, you basically sat down and ran through numbers with him, and what was his take on that? Was he okay with it? Did he sort of see your side, or was he pissed?
Yeah, no, I think he understood. And, there was a time where Yellow Book came out after him about 5 years later, only a few years ago. And I paid the bill. I mean, we still got a great relationship. I was in his wedding. The business was nowhere near, we had about 4 or 5 employees at that point. Now I have, 250. So
wow,
I definitely could say thank you for helping me get into the industry, but I don't thank anybody for my success. I think a lot of people as a whole. I think my mom and stepdad and every manager here. I think Al Levy. I mean, you name it. I work with several different consultants. I work with a lot of people. I've paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to be where I am today, and I definitely didn't have anything handed to me. And I think I could talk about a lot of different things that I've failed at and that I've been successful at that actually make this company very, very profitable. And the growth that we're trajectory to hit is just. I'll be $1 billion garage door company. Wow. I will be $1 billion company.
And what's it hovering at the moment?
It's just over 30 million this year, but we've grown 100% each year. Next year, I plan on growing 200%. So my goal is by 2020 to hit 100 million, but 100 million is only scratching the surface.
Okay, crazy. And so, tell me then, what's unique about the company?
Well, I'll tell you this. There's a guy named Jim Abrams who started out in the HVAC business a long, long time ago, early 70s in Wisconsin. And he ended up being one of the first guys to work on air conditioning because back then they just had commercial AC and then they had these add-on units for furnaces. So he ended up getting didn't want to go the route he was going at with the company called Trane, which is a big air conditioning unit company. So he went to St. Louis and he recruited some guys to help him form a conglomerate where they formed a group. And it's called 1 Hour Air. And they started buying out all these other air conditioning companies. And they did it with electric, then they did it with plumbing. Well, that company is bought by Direct Energy. It's the largest home service company in the world by far. I work directly with these guys on a lot of things. But I went out and met Terry Nicholson, who worked with Jim, and I met these guys. And basically, the story goes is I want to do what they did in the garage door niche. I want to go out. I want to buy other companies. Yep. And garage doors, number one, is we've got a way different approach. I've got brand new vans. They're huge, huge, huge Sprinter vans. They're all wrapped. They're custom made. I've got my own auto shop. I've got my own wrap facility. I've got my own tire machines. I've got my own welding machines that we do all of our own welding. I've got my own apartment complex with 19 units because every single technician flies out here to train before he becomes a certified technician through my company. We all do. We don't 1099 our employees. They're real employees. They all have a uniform. They all have an iPad. I was the first garage door company to get on Service Titan, which is a very advanced CRM. Yep. It's the best there is. So
they're about to hit Australia, actually.
So they're at 1.65 billion. Ara, the CEO of that company, wrote the foreword of my book.
Oh wow! Okay, great.
But I can keep going. I mean, we were the first garage door company to offer a service agreement. We offer financing. We have custom garage doors. If you could find it anywhere online, anywhere in your mind, we can build it. We have a whole custom division. So there's 3 ways to make money, and there's only 3 ways on the offensive side. And that's you get more customers, which is marketing. The other way is you keep your customers coming back more, which is service agreements. And the last way is to charge your customers more money, which is a different product offering. And I've jumped hardcore into all of those because my forte, my A++, 10 out of 10 is marketing. And the next biggest thing is sales. And I'm great at both of them. Now, L is great at organization and micromanaging and kind of the small picture of what needs to happen today. He's exactly what I needed.
Right. Yeah. Okay, cool. So can we jump back into, I know you mentioned there you're sort of in the space where you're looking at acquiring companies and you're going down that route. Obviously, a lot of the listeners out there that run trade businesses, well, I get this quite a lot. Like we try and help a lot of businesses implement, processes and operating procedures into their company so they've got something they can sell. As somebody who's in the space of acquiring businesses, what are you looking at to acquire? I mean, obviously the database, but are you interested in the processes that run the company, or you just implement yours?
No, I'm not trying to buy any type of infrastructure. I'm looking for the the technician that they don't have a great database system. They're still using paper invoices. They're driving older trucks.
Yeah.
They're the well-known name in the area. I'm looking for really down-to-earth, good companies that they're baby boomers that are looking to retire, that I could take it and make payments over the next 5 years, which is going to help them on tax purposes.
Yeah.
And what's going to end up happening is they're going to earn out way more money selling to me than anybody else, because I'm giving them part of the upside. So I understand from A to Z how businesses sell, and they're based off of profitability, which is called EBITDA, earnings before interest, tax, and depreciation and appreciation. So I tend to give a multiplier of between 2 and 4, depending on what the business is doing. I'm not looking for businesses doing much more than a couple million a year. They're doing more. They've got an infrastructure, and I got to change all of it because it's all wrong anyway. I can tell you that.
Okay, well, that's interesting. So, when you approach these organizations, are they typically looking to sell, or they've never considered it? There's some guys just rocking up saying, "Hey, I want to buy your company."
So I've already bought 2 out, and they were looking to sell, and they know about me, and they wanted a job, and they wanted to make 6 figures. And there's not a lot of places you could go in this industry and do that unless you're working with me or a couple other competitors that actually run a pretty good shop.
Yeah.
But they wanted some money up front for their hard work, and a lot of guys in the industry in the home service space, they think they could sell blood, sweat, and tears, and it's just not possible. We go off of what the paper says, which is your balance sheet, and that's everything that I need to look at to see what I'm going to give you. Number one. Number 2 is a lot of people are going to be retiring over the next 10 years, and they don't have a next of kin to pass it on to. Right. When I was at a trade show, the most packed class by far, people standing everywhere, sitting down in the back everywhere, was succession planning on how they're going to get rid of their business. And I'm telling you, it was packed, and I knew right then that I needed to get in the business buying industry, and that's really what we're working on. Amazing.
And so when you, talking about succession plans, when you take over a business, obviously do you rebrand that business to be yours?
Yeah, it's kind of circumstantial because I will get A1 into the mix, but I don't want to get rid of their name. So first of all, I start with retraining all the technicians.
Okay.
Because the first thing you want to do when you go to a business is look at their expenses. Number 1, I buy marketing way cheaper because I get a national plan. Number 2, I buy inventory way cheaper. So those 2 things alone, I know I'm saving a ton of money on. Number 3, I come in there and I get rid of their highest expenses. They might have Uncle Sal over there that's making $200,000 because he's been there for 40 years. Right. I'm sorry, I can't afford Uncle Sal. I'm getting rid of the high-end items. So right away, I get rid of their call center, their dispatch center, their door center. I bring it all in-house. It's all ran from Tempe right now.
Okay.
So I'm able to cut their expenses dramatically, and then I'm able to double their profit margins.
So when you bring it all in-house, say the call center, for example, are you answering the phone as Bill's Garage Doors, or are you answering the phones as A1 Garage Door Service?
So Service Titan has a bubble that pops up, and every bubble that pops up, we know the name of the company they call. Okay. So we look at the bubble and we answer it whatever it says.
Gotcha. Okay. And so do you see that being, is that the strategy that's going to are you going to stay true to that strategy? You're going to buy companies and keep their name, or will you eventually just start?
If they're a real small company, no. And I'm what I do is I keep their name and slowly push it into A1 Garage Door Service. So I slowly let that company die off. You just don't go in and change the name the same day. Right. You buy the company and you let people know we've taken over the course of 3 to 5 years. Now, if it's a company that's been around for 50 years, they got a great name, everybody loves them, they're the hugest thing in the town, I don't see a reason necessarily to change the name, but I will still have an A1 Garage Door Service. It's almost like we're in competition, but it's still owned all by me. So
if there's anyone listening out there at the moment and they're thinking, okay, I'd love to be able to sell my business one day, what are the few things that Thomas Mello looks for when he's looking to acquire a company?
Well, interestingly enough, I've studied with the guys that buy companies that put these deals together. I had Brian Cohen actually put a section in the book about what you need to prepare for as a checklist. But number 1, I look for service agreements. I look for how well maintained is their database. I look for what's their social media, how many reviews on Yelp, how many reviews on Google, How many reviews on Angie's List? What kind of marketing are they doing? If they're spending a fortune on marketing, I look for companies that aren't spending anything on marketing, but they're getting 10, 20 jobs a day. If they're spending a ton of money on marketing, I don't hate that. I just need to take that into consideration to say, I love it when a company's getting 15, 20 jobs a day with no marketing. And they say, we're just word of mouth. Because then I go, holy cow, I can come put my steroids on it, which is all my marketing, and quadruple this, get 80 jobs a day. So I look for things like that. I look for how old's this might sound bad, but if every worker is 60 years old, I know I'm going to have to replace them all here in the next couple of years. So I look at the age of the techs. I like to talk to the techs. I like to explain they're in a better situation because I'm going to give them everything from paid time off to an insurance and dental program to a wrap truck. I'm going to pay for their gas. I'm going to pay for their vehicle insurance. I'm going to give them everything they need to succeed. And they're going to make a hell of a lot more money than they were before.
We interrupt this podcast today to talk to you very quickly about Tradie Web Guy's content creation program. That program has been designed specifically for trade-based organizations as a way that you guys as trade business owners can start creating content that enables you to engage better with your customers and your potential customers. It will enable you to build trust and build rapport because what you're doing is you're investing in educating them. Biggest problem that we see with our customers today is that they're not regularly updating their websites. And that's a problem because first of all, the search engines are looking for that. And second of all, potential customers are also looking for it. Tradie Web Guy's content creation program has been specifically designed to help you get regular, relevant content on your website consistently every month. We know that it's hard when you're out there on the tools, and we know that sometimes you don't always have the time to be able to do these things yourself. So we're taking it off your hands for you. It's a service that we're offering for you guys. We want to make sure that you're getting this done because we know how important it is. Anyway, head across to tradiewebguys.com.au/content, fill in the form, and one of our representatives will come back to you. Tommy, is the business mobile? Do they travel around in the cars and visit people at their location, or is it an actual garage?
No. We go out and fix garage doors.
Sorry, garage doors. Yes, what I meant. Okay.
Yeah. So residential and commercial, mostly residential. 99.9% residential. So we show up at your house to fix your garage door springs. We replace your rollers, your bottom rubber. We do epoxy floors. We do garage door storage solutions as well. And so
is there any of these, the locations, is there a factory or a warehouse required, or is it all just run out of the truck?
I have a warehouse in every one of my locations.
Okay, cool. Yep. All right, unreal. And so I'm interested with when you were talking about the service agreement side of things. So would that typically mean, like a lot of the listeners out there wouldn't be familiar with the term service agreement, like especially the Australian audience. Do you want to give us a bit of a rundown of what that is and why that's important for you to, like, as a metric when you're looking at acquiring a company?
Yeah, well, I can tell you that service agreements is the future of the the whole home service business. If you're ignoring it and you don't want to be part of it, I'll blow you out of the water, guaranteed. I'll tell you why a service agreement is important, and I'll explain to you what it is. So there's a book everybody needs to read called The Automatic Customer. It's a game changer. It'll change your life. If you think about what Amazon Prime does, they get you on a service. You're on a service agreement for them. You're paying for Prime. Anything you can do for a pay each month where you know what you're paying for and you're getting it. So with a service agreement, you're getting out there every month, every 6 months, every year. There's certain benefits they get from it, and it's expected money coming in. The average service agreement lifetime value of the customer is 3 times more. So if I sell you a service agreement, basically what I'm doing is I'll explain, Matt, here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to get you a bottom strut. I'm going to get you an operator reinforcement bracket. I'm going to give you a surge protector to invest your investment. I'm going to get you all this stuff. Then we're going to come out once a year, give you a complete door tune-up. All for this service agreement. It's $10 a month. Right. And then we're going to give you 15% off of our price book. We're also going to give you priority dispatching. And here's the good thing, Matt, is you're going to need to replace the door probably 3-4 years down the road. And when you do, we're going to save you an incredible amount of money, and we're going to keep all these old parts on, and we're going to allow you to have a transferable warranty. So if you ever need to move the house, move to a new home, you'll be able to transfer this warranty. So the whole point of this is I want to be the one waiting in line to replace that garage door. And this started out in the HVAC, plumbing, electrical business. And those customers our expected income. If I've got 10,000 customers, I know I'm getting $100,000 a month, every single month, mailbox money.
Yep.
Plus, I know I'm next in line to change out their garage door. So whenever you sell your business, anybody that's got a brain is going to ask you, do you have service agreements? And you could do it in any industry. I don't care if you're cleaning chimneys. I don't care if you're landscaping. I don't care what you do. You should have a service agreement in your business. And Darius Levers is the one he actually talks about it in his name is Jamie DiDomenico. He has 14,000 service agreements. And he actually wrote a little section of the book that you want service agreements, and they're so important.
Yeah, amazing. So with the service agreement, so you get people on, say, the monthly retainer, $10 a month, whatever it is. What is your strategy around adding value to them during that period? Like, as part of, like, do you communicate with them regularly? Like, how do you keep in touch with them?
Well, the main thing that they got to understand is, if anything goes wrong, they don't have to pay a service call. They got a lifetime warranty on labor as long as they keep it up. There's emergency service. I give them a bunch of parts up front that I charge them for if they cancel it. I also am there once a year to come do a complete tune-up that I'm going to come out for free and do everything they need on the house. So on the garage door, at least. So, you put it as a value added. It's $120 a year total.
Right.
And you get all these benefits from it. So you need to make it really, really a great value to get that adoption rate high.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of guys out here that are trying to implement that or have implemented that into their, plumbing, electrical style business, but I don't know many that are doing it in the other areas. So it's interesting to hear the way that you've done it. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I hear a lot of people say, I can't do that for my type of business.
Right.
I've heard enough excuses. I hear enough from the technicians. Oh, that market's different, or the dispatcher doesn't like me, or the weather, or it's a holiday, or my wife's sick, or this or that. I have no time for excuses. I only embrace solutions. That's all I do.
Yeah. So, taking a bit of a segue now, going back to you and your business, like what's your role in the business? Like, what do you spend your time doing day to day?
So typically we have a morning mojo call where I talk to all the technicians in the morning. We go over numbers. We go over some objections.
Hang on, all 250?
Well, there's 250 total employees. I don't have 250 technicians. I have like 120, and they all jump on a call. So it's a line that we communicate on at 7:45, and I go through all the sales from the previous day. I talk about service agreements, who signed up people up, what the average door sell was. And then we go in, I got 3 managers that talk on it. It goes, well, plus me. So me, then Adam, then Brian, then Luke. Brian manages the service department. Luke manages the door department. Adam's the general manager. I talk about tactics, usually sales tactics and objections. Adam talks about updates on service tighten and pricing. Brian talks about, whether it be home warranties or something about service that day. And Luke talks about door sales and tactical things. And usually the call's only 15, 20 minutes. We're not trying to have a long meeting. We have our long meeting every Thursday. It's an hour long, and we communicate via Zoom with every single department. We could look at everybody. We read part of the manuals that day. We go over all kinds of stuff that day. That's the big meeting. So that's how I start the day.
And can I ask you a question in relation to that? Has that come from what you learned working with Al Levy and his meeting manifesto?
I've learned a lot from Al, but that one we've had the morning mojo call for several years. Okay. Al helped me put the manuals together much better. He helped us get organized. He helped us with the org chart, stay in our own lane. So Al's definitely helped us with, from A to Z, Al's a blessing. But the meetings, I always wanted, I'll give you a quick story. I was in Milwaukee one time, and by the way, I wrap my vehicles, my face is on the side of them, but that's another story. I'll send you some videos for your resource page. Okay. But so I was in Milwaukee, and I was having a Christmas party for all the guys, and this is before I used to fly the guys out to train. This was my third market. Now we're in 19. And one of the guys goes, hey, he goes, that's really nice of you to pay for all this. Who are you? And I go, I'm the business owner. Right. I was like, it was just astonishing to me. So from that point on, I said, I need to communicate more. Everybody needs to know who I am. Everybody needs to know my managers and understand the process of why we do things. Right. So, I'm an avid reader. I got 780 books on my Audible. I have about 500 on my shelf. I got 3 shelves, one in my house, one in my apartment, and one here at work. Yeah. So I own the apartment complex, so I don't stay at a place that I don't own, but it's there so I could be by the technicians when they're training.
And so with your reading habit, how does that look? Are you block time out each day to read, or?
Yeah, it makes it onto my calendar. Everything makes it onto my calendar, and that's what makes time. I get to work on myself. I get to work on the business. I get up early. And I travel quite a bit, and I listen to stuff in my car. Every morning I work out for 30 minutes. I'm listening to a book. So, and I listen to it double fast of most people. I listen to it at 2.0, so the speed's really fast, which means I can knock out books a lot quicker than most people.
Do you listen to podcasts?
I do here and there, but I only get certain time in the day. So I get so many people that ask me to read these different books. I mean, just yesterday, Personality Plus, 1-page marketing plan. I'm looking at here for different, what is it? Dead ship. What is it?
What's that? Lead the ship.
Lead, that I spelled it bad. Okay. So I've already ordered all these books. So, I only get certain time in the day. And when I go on trips, I try to go on a couple 3-day weekend trips at least once every 4 or 5 weeks. Yeah. I spend a lot of time at the hotel learning, listening to this stuff, making notes. I got a whiteboard in my kitchen. I got a whiteboard in my office, in every room. I whiteboard like crazy. I'm always strategizing, and I implement it. I'm the number one implementer you'll probably ever meet. If I hear something or do something, I mean, Al told me to put the org chart up. The next day I put an org chart 17 feet long by 4 feet high. I mean, I'm a lot of people think about it. They discuss it. They talk about it. I do it that day. If I could do it, you got to implement stuff.
So when you hear something interesting in a book, you write it on the whiteboard, map it out, and then you'll go and action that, right?
So from one of the things I learned from Al, and I made a really, really nice whiteboards, is a top 5 board. So you got the top 5, the top 30, and then your top board, just of your top project list. And it makes it onto my project list eventually. I've got a lot of initiatives next year that are going to just, oh man, I could tell you so many marketing ideas that you'd be like, oh my gosh, that's just nuts, some of the stuff. Like I hire realtors to go into vacant houses and put my sticker on the door and openers. I partner with a bunch of different trades if they've got a huge email list, and we share each other's email list, and I run that all through a non-disclosure agreement. And I facilitate it all, and we're able to get thousands of jobs a year through strategic partnerships. I go on and on. I mean, the things that I do to generate business that most people would never even think about.
Those, I am interested in the strategic partnership side of things. Like, how do you, do you like give them a commission or a cut on the sale, or is it purely just a value add to their database, or how does that look?
So I have right now 2,700 call tracking numbers for 2,700 different campaigns. So, wow. For example, if I called a bug company that sprays for bugs outside, I would tell them, listen, here's the deal. I'm going to give you this phone number to call. If they book the call and it gets ran, you get $50. And let me just tell you why a pest control company would love to use us, because we're replacing the bottom rubber. Well, 90% of all the bugs in your home come through that bottom rubber under your garage. It's the easiest access point. So by replacing the bottom rubber, you guys look better, and then you get paid. And I got a special deal for your customers. Number one. Number two, paint companies, right? They're painting an old piece of crap garage door with dents in it. Why wouldn't you want to replace it? We'll give your customer a great deal. You'll make some money on it. It's all trackable. We'll show you how it's trackable. I mean, that's the problem is, and you pay those people the same day. So many people, they're like, oh yeah, I'm not going to pay. If you learn to get the referral business from all these strategic partnerships, you can make a killing. I pay moving companies to put my sticker up. I got an app on my phone and on their phone. They take a picture, it geotags it. They get paid $7 for every sticker they put out.
Oh, wow. Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah, it's a game changer. Like marketing is that's my passion. But
so what, so would you say that the majority of your day you spend doing that? You're the marketing guy?
No, we've got a lot of meetings. So we meet up where there's short, concise meetings. We talk about different things. I've got a lot of things going on. I go out, and today I met with our storage solutions. All the owners came in today of where we buy from. We're working out ways to get this nationwide. So I'm more of strategy. I'm big time strategy. I've got a really, really, really great team who handles most of the day to day. I've got killer managers in charge of the call center, dispatch.
Yeah.
I've learned to delegate. I've been really, really fortunate to have the skill of delegating properly. Al's got some guidelines behind it that I use now, but I've always delegated pretty well. I've embraced Al's teachings. I've embraced lean. So there's a good book out there called 2 Second Lean. And that's to make yourself more efficient every day. Take less steps, make yourself stronger, figure out how to replicate systems faster. And what I've learned is there's so many people think you can save the day once you hire the right technician or the right call center manager. And the fact is, it's the systems. I spend a lot of times to perfect the system. And I strategize and I say, what can we do better? How can we, once you make the system bulletproof, it's just getting a way to get people through the system. And I don't believe in the old way of just posting an ad on Craigslist or Indeed or wherever you guys post ads out there to get people. You need to recruit them. So when you find somebody bussing a table or serving tables or at a gas station, you go up and if you see them smiling and they're friendly and that you can tell that their work ethic is right, you get them into a funnel. So the biggest mistake is people hand out a business card. Well, I tell them, text me real quick, and I give them a number to text, and it automatically text messages them back with the videos and why they should work for me. And it keeps them in a database and follows up till either they opt out or they come work for me.
Oh, wow. And this is for potential work employees.
Forget about going and finding somebody in the unemployment sector. Yeah. You need to have the best referral program ever, and you need to go out there and you need to talk to everybody and you need to shake hands. I actually go find out who the employees of the month are at different places. I go find them at the restaurants and I offer them a job.
Yeah.
And so, can you imagine having a company full of employee of the months?
Yeah, no, exactly right. That's amazing. I'm just curious then. So obviously you hire people based off purely their the type of person they are, the quality of the person they are, their attitude, and then you bring them in-house and you train them.
Yeah, you train them up. I mean, look, if you got the right attitude, if you're looking for a career, you come to me. If you want a job, stay where you're at.
So with, I suppose, the technical aspect of what you guys do with the garage door space, obviously there's a lot of moving parts there. So I imagine experience does come into play to quite a large extent. How do you navigate that with somebody who's just been hired out of a restaurant?
So you got the simple process of the apprentice program. You got 2 months out in the field doing ride-alongs. You're hanging out in my warehouse. You're learning. I'm right now I'm building the most comprehensive classes you'll ever see. It's like Blackboard. Right now you're going to be able to go on. You're going to know every single part. There's going to be quizzes. There's going to be a forum. There's going to be everything from A to Z you're going to know before you even fly into Tempe, Arizona. And it's going to be such an advanced learning system. You're going to be able to do role play. You're going to be able to do matching, so many things. So you start out as an apprentice. You need to show up to work sober and on time. I need to know that you have the dedication to be there and you got the learning attitude. Once you prove yourself for 2 months and move you into a junior tech, you come out and train. Yeah. Once you train, you get through here for 2 to 3 weeks. You're done through training. You know how to do sales. You know how to do installs. You know how to do everything from financing to sell service agreements. Now you're a junior tech. You got an opportunity to move up to senior tech and then potentially move up to a field supervisor, which potentially moves up into a market manager from there. And the program is so much better than going out and trying to find these old guys that are not old, but just old in the field. You know, they've been doing it for 10 years. And they've got all the bad habits and they don't know the right way and they don't want to use software because they never did it before and they don't like this and they don't like that and they don't doing it this way. So what happens when you get all the right people in place and the right training schedule and you start to develop a monster of a business because now they're doing it your way. They're using the software. They don't know any other way.
Yeah. And so the obviously you've done a lot of work with Al and the organizational chart, that kind of stuff that you spoke about earlier. When they come on into your organization, I know Al's big on this. Do you show them, the succession plan and where they could potentially end up if they do X, Y, Z?
Yes, you want to show them that there's light at the end of the tunnel if they work their butts off. And there is everybody that works for me. There's one reason the common theme is we want to work for a growing company that we could grow with.
Yeah.
And when you come work for us, there's an opportunity to grow. I'm gassed to the floor all the time. I mean, I'm always ready to grow as fast as possible. But also, like recently, I pumped the brakes because we're moving into a new building. It's double the size. It's massive. We're putting all kinds of new technology. We're putting a generator. We're putting 2 fiber lines. We're going to have it so 2 different types of internet. If one cuts out, the other one's working. If the electricity cuts out, we're still up and running. It's going to be a place when you walk in there, you're going to go, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is gorgeous. Wow. And that's what I want the image to be. Right now, it's not quite there. It's a nice place, but I've renegotiated with all my vendors. We've got national deals that kick any other garage door company's butt. I mean, we are turning into a machine, and the more time we can focus on the business, so many times you get trapped as a technician, as an owner, where you're doing all the quotes. You're going out there trying to do everything. And the best advice I could give you is get on your Google Calendar, get on your Outlook calendar, whatever calendar you use. And I know fires happen, but don't get in the habit of taking the time that you put to work on the business. Your phone needs to turn off, because I'll tell you what, that one job that you save $500 on, if you could spend those couple hours a day, you're going to always be a firefighter if you're going to put out the fires. Right. But if you could take the time to actually focus on the business and prioritize. So I always say, look, you're in a big ship. And if there's a big hole and a couple of big holes, you're not going to work on the sails and make sure you're sailing good. You're going to fix those holes. So identify where the biggest holes are. And what I find is I talk about KPIs. One of my favorite things is to talk about the main KPIs. And not a lot of people talk about these. But number one, the first thing I'm going to ask you is how many calls are you getting from your marketing? First thing I got to find out is your marketing effective? And you got to track it. Just like, let me ask you this, Matt, do you golf?
I do, actually.
Okay, let me ask you this. If I told you to hit a 7-iron, just keep hitting that 7-iron for 3 miles, or I told you to go play 18 holes, what would you learn more from?
I'd probably learn more from, depends. You mean from the club stroke technique or from the game?
Well, basically, here's the point. You'll learn, you can hit the ball straight and you don't know how far you're hitting it. You're just hitting the ball over and over again. There's no goal.
Right.
Well, in 18 holes, your goal is to keep the score the lowest, and you're going to keep track. How many putts? How many fairways did you hit? How many greens in regulation? How many times did you hook the ball versus slice the ball? Those are your KPIs. Those are what we need to tell what you need to work on.
Yeah.
So once I identify that your putting is the biggest issue, we need to work on your putting first. So first thing I look at is your advertising working? Then I look at your call booking rate. Okay, that's the next big thing, because a lot of people say I'm at 90% plus. You are full of crap. No, you're not. Well, how are you tracking that? Because here's the thing. I'm going to dive into this. Can you give me 3 minutes for this?
Sure, man.
Okay, so the deal is, if somebody calls to get a part, you don't consider that a real potential call. If somebody calls out of the service area, you don't consider that a potential call. If somebody calls and you're overbooked, the CSR says, I couldn't have booked it, so it shouldn't count against me. So those are the gray areas, and that's why your booking rate's so high. So if you had a real system like CallCap or a CRM, like I use Service Titan, you know your real booking rate, because every parts call, I book that call.
Right.
Every out of service area, I need to know why the hell I'm getting calls out of my service area and identify and see if I should be working in that area. Number 3, the other big one is, we couldn't book it because we were overbooked that day. Well, I need to know we didn't book it, because now I need to hire someone else if we're always not counting those jobs. How am I supposed to look at my score if you're doctoring it? So then I look at, so you got the booking rate and form fill rate. I look at the conversion rate on there. Now I'm looking at my technician shows up to the house. I'm looking at what's his conversion rate of making a sale. And then I look at it, if you sell a new door, is there a drop-off rate? Because that could be an issue. And then I look at your average ticket. And then from there, I look at the money we're going to need to spend in marketing. Because if you get all those things right, you will absolutely kill it. And there's a ratio that I talk a lot about with Al, is there should be 2 guys actually receiving the money, meaning they're out there turning the wrench, compared to every other person administrative. So 2-to-1 ratio is good. 3-to-1, you're pouring in money. You're killing it. So I'll give you a little clue. I have a Christmas light business that I also have. And last year I did the marketing. We spent $70,000. We got 1,400 opportunities. We didn't call back 500 of them. We had 64% of labor. It was out of control. So this year I redid everything. I did a performance-based pay. I increased the price by 40% of each customer. We lost 30% of them. But guess what? We got 40% more on every single customer. We've already crossed. We're not even halfway through our season. I've already freaking crossed what we did last year by far. We've spent $0 on marketing this year. Wow. The difference is I kept track of those KPIs, and I knew exactly what to do based on those. It told me a story, and it built a story for me to be able to follow.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of analytics. I don't get overwhelmed with them. I only need 5 to 7 direct reports, but those are what dictate my decisions. Those are what tell me if I could afford the marketing source. Those are what tell me if I could afford to keep a CSR. Those tell me how productive my dispatchers are. Every single decision I make comes through a database that tells me the answer and tells me what direction I need to work on the next.
And so would you say, if I was to ask you, Tommy, what's the number one bit of advice that you'd give to business owners out there that are looking to grow? Would you say that would be it? It would be just get granular with your analytics and data?
You need a system. You need a system to be able to find out what's going on. You need to look, you could close your eyes and pin the tail on the donkey and say, maybe this is what I should be working on. But I can tell you this, if you're at a 60% booking rate, you should be an 80% booking rate. If your average ticket is $300, I want to get you to $500. If you're paying $200 per lead, I want to get you to $100 per lead. If I adjust each of those numbers by 3%, you doubled in size, those KPIs. And actually, I got a KPI calculator that shows exactly how effective changing some of these numbers could be. And the problem is a lot of people lie to themselves. They like to look in the mirror and say, oh no, I'm doing this. I'm like, show me where you got that number from. You pulled that number out of your butt. It's not real. And even if it is real, I want to know that the analytics and the data being entered is absolutely correct.
Right. And so technology is kind of key in that regard, yeah?
Technology systems. I mean, I'm a big fan, though, of setting it up from the beginning and setting up, your operational manuals for each single role and doing the org chart. And then also making sure that you understand having people sign off they're responsible is the largest thing I've ever seen. Making them sign off. If I delegate something, look, I'm a big fan of technology way more than Al. Al says you could do this stuff, obviously, since the Mayans and the pyramid days, and I get that. But technology is what allows us to actually have, I know exactly, I've renegotiated over 20 contracts in the last month for marketing because I have the exact data to be able to know what I'm talking about. Right. When people try to give me a call tracking number, I say, no thanks, I'm going to use my own because it all works internally. So knowing your numbers is so important. Right.
Amazing. Well, look, mate, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I feel like this podcast could go on for about 4 hours, but I'm respectful of the fact that you're a busy man.
This is great. I got 15 minutes. I mean, if you got to go, what I did was when I put this book together, The Home Service Millionaire, is I decided to go out and I got a lot of people. So let me just tell you, I got Al Levy to talk about setting your business up for success. I got Brian K. Kavakian is his name. He talks about how to use your list, your existing employee database to make a ton of money. I got the COO of Home Advisor who owns Angie's List. His name's Craig Smith. He wrote a section in the book. I got Brigham Dixon. This guy knows how to train the top CSRs to book phone calls in the home service industry. He did a section. I got Ellen Rohr. Ellen Rohr did a section on financial quick check, how to discover your pricing, knowing exactly how to price stuff. I got Ara to talk about CRMs. I got Jamie to talk about service agreements. I got Mike Davis. He's the CEO of Valpak to show that print still works. I got Mark Levass to talk about lead generation. I got Darius that explains how financing should work and could work to double your business next year. I got this guy, Matt Glickman, how to save 15% on your Google bill every single month on your local Google advertising.
Hang on. His last name's Klickman, and he's a Google Ads man.
Klickman. Yeah, Klickman.
That's great.
So all that stuff I put in this book, man, and I got to tell you, it's not all me that wrote it. It's all these guys that contributed through their 3-page section or 4 pages. Wow. And that's what makes the book so powerful because I give my story and I talk about the things that I love, like the millionaire mindset. I talk about being ethical, being honest with customers. I talk about exactly how to turn on the lead gen machine. Because if you're good at sales and you're good at marketing, which I talk a lot about in the book, you'll do good. Now, you get control of your inventory, you get your operations and recruiting down, you're going to kill it. Like I talk about how to find and recruit A players, but recruiting is the key word. So, I wanted to get my 2 cents in because I really feel like this book, there were so many people that came together to help me put it together.
Man, I can't wait for it to come out. So where's it going to be available? How can the listeners, I can tell you now, every time I recommend a book through the newsletter, a lot of the guys go and get it. So where is it going to be available? How can they get it?
You go to homeservicemillionaire.com or just search that on Amazon. It's available now. It'll be coming out on the 6th or the 3rd, but I can tell you, the way to read this book is to find out where you need the most help and implement the stuff in the darn book. If you need help, we got a lot of resources on the website. Everything from different videos and how to set it up to really how to implement the stuff. I've got a lot of really good resources here in the book. And, stack the deck. But the things that we talk about, if you don't do it, there's someone else that will, and the opportunity cost is too high. I mean, if you read this book and you implement just 1/10 of it, I promise you'll triple next year. I promise you'll triple.
Wow. No, that's brilliant. Well, mate, I absolutely can't wait to read that book. So is there any way that but you know what, by the time this goes live, it'll be out anyway. So we'll head across to homeservicemillionaire.com where you can be pointed in the right direction to get that. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the Home Service Millionaire. And I'll tell you what, I'm always looking for feedback if somebody's got questions. I interview, just like you, I'm on the phone with some of the top $250+ million companies. And we talk a lot about culture and what we do to build a culture. I'm flying out to Florida again, a different part of Florida, to talk to a guy with a $45 million HVAC company. I'm learning. I'm the first one. I go to different businesses all the time. Even in Phoenix, I do a walkthrough. I talk to the CEO. I talk to the president. I talk to the general manager. I'm looking for new strategies. It's important to work on your own business, but it's important to know what's out there because you got to ask a lot of questions. You got to figure out what the best way to go because once you start down a path, it's hard to change.
Yeah.
So I got lucky. I fell into Service Titan. I got lucky. I met Al Levy. I got lucky. I met all these guys, Ara, Brian, Craig, Brigham, Mike Davis, Darius, Mark. I mean, I've been very fortunate to have 2 ears and one mouth and listen to people. It's like that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is by asking questions and keeping 2 ears open and just flattering people. Well, I won't say I've mastered it, but that's my life journey is to be a sponge to these people out there that want to teach. And I just implement them. I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm smart enough to look in the mirror and say, when you're winning, you're winning. When you're losing, it's on you, buddy.
So the podcast Home Service Expert, for the listeners out there, go and check that out. I'll put some links to that as well on the show note page. And then if you want to check out Tommy's, the fruits of his labor, of course, a1garage.com is the website. So you can go and check that out as well. If you've got any questions, Tommy said you can email him at tommy@homeservicemillionaire.com. But mate, apart from that, I think, look, man, I've really enjoyed this conversation. It's been amazing. I'd love to have you back on. Maybe we can talk about some more specific things within the training area. If you want to talk about, maybe something to do with the org chart or recruitment process. I mean, I know that'll be very well received. If you listeners out there, how about the listeners out there that go read the book first, and then if they want any clarification or anything further, we'll get you back on the show.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you letting me on. Listen, let me do one thing real quick. I just got to grab my phone. I want to tell you a couple of books to check out. So a few things here. I like I said, I read a lot. I got to tell you. And do
you read or audiobooks or both?
So I read a lot. But like right now, I've got a book called Talk: 9 Public Speaking Secrets, like from the world's top minds. I've got Fearless Public Speaking. I've got The Ultimate Sales Machine, which I read probably twice a month or a year. Lean Recruitment, Expert Secrets, The Vibrant Workplace. These are all books that are waiting in my pile here. But then my Audible books, I told you about a book by Steve Sims called Blue Fishing. There's a great book called Measure What Matters. Let's see here. The Automatic Customer. You have to read that book.
Yeah, you know what? I've read that years ago.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's a great book. It teaches you that you need to get service agreements. Launch is a good book. Traction actually talks about a lot of different ways to do marketing. I'm just a passionate reader.
Yeah.
And it's just. Did
you like Launch?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Launch was great.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I just you got to learn how to read with a grain of salt. And if there's a chapter on, for example, the 80-20 rule, I skip it because I know it.
Right.
One of the things I talk a lot about is the Parkinson's law, and that's if you give somebody a deadline, they're going to use all the time to get that thing done. So have smaller deadlines and delegate properly. But I don't want to take any more of your time, Matt. I appreciate you. I just get so excited when I do these podcasts. I'm passionate, and I feed off of this stuff. Talking to a guy like you that's been around all these successful people and done it in the plumbing industry. I mean, it's literally like therapy for me. So I can't get enough, and I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely, mate. Well, thank you so much for your time. Likewise, I appreciate you spending that time to educate the masses. So anyway, I'll let you know once the episode goes live. But if you have any listeners out there, if you've got any questions for Tommy, or if you'd like to, if you wanted any clarification or anything we've spoken about, by all means, you can post your comments wherever you see this come through across social media or in the show notes on the webpage or whatever it might be in the newsletter. Tommy has generously offered to leave the first chapter of the book as a resource for you over at the siteshed.com/resources. So go check that out. You'll find that there with many, many, many other resources. And apart from that, I think that's a wrap, Tommy. What do you say?
I think that's great. Once again, I really I appreciate you guys listening from way down under.
And I'll do my best to edit that out. Thank you for listening to another episode of Toolbox Talks. If you're liking what you hear, then you can head across to the siteshed.com where you can join our community by signing up to our Toolbox Talks. You'll get sent a weekly notification, which is basically a highlight of everything that we've spoken about during that week, along with any other industry news that may be relevant or specific to the trades. If you're enjoying the show, you can head across to iTunes, Stitcher, or SoundCloud, where you can leave us a review. That would be fantastic, and all the reviews get read out in the show. Likewise, if you have any friends or colleagues that you think would benefit from this show and the episodes that we create, then please go ahead and share it with them.